Well, hello on a Thursday. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill giving you an update, primarily zeroing in on this potential of hot weather like we haven't seen so far this year next week. This is not set in stone, but at this point, it's looking increasingly likely we'll have 1 to 2 really hot days and kind of a stretch of maybe 4 days of 90 plus. Now, so far, we've only had back-to-back 90-degree days, and the warmest Portland has been one day was 94, one day was 96. Total of 6 days have reached that 90-degree mark. So that's what I'm going to be spending most of my time with on this video, coming to you from the weather office here at KGW. What you're looking at is mostly I'm showing you the European model, although the models generally are in agreement. But this is the upper level 500 millibar, 18,000 foot uh, flow pattern next Tuesday. And if you recall, a couple weeks ago, we had a heat wave that was making national news in the Midwest, and then that moved to the East Coast. Well, next week, the high pressure ridging or heat dome, however you want to describe this, is setting up out west. You can see the 594 enclosed contour of an upper level high centered out here near to just offshore, and then warm weather ridging all the way up into British Columbia. So if you look at everything, air mass temperature, wind pattern, et cetera, you come up with peak temperatures that are likely going to be hotter than that one day we had 96. I've got 96 to maybe as hot as 101. This doesn't look like it's going to go forever. I'll show you this, but all the modeling right now shows that we break the heat Thursday of next week. So at most, we're talking about 2 days of extremely hot temperatures. All this brought to you, as always, by the Momentous Wealth podcast. Listen on Apple Podcasts, listen on Spotify, a variety of different investment topics for you to choose from, brought to you by a local firm, Momentous Wealth Management, licensed in Oregon and in Washington. Okay, from that, let's get you to it. I'm going to start with the Canadian model. I don't show you this old school four pattern or four block model very often, but it's great because you get to see everything in four panels happening at once. Now, I'm going to take you through this and point some things out. So here we are. Let's just back this up so I can set the table. This is this afternoon on this Thursday. See, we've got a fairly high pressure height, 588 contour. We've got no moisture fields really. And here's the 570 contour, which is coming through Portland. The hotter weather is really down to our southwest. And this is a day on this Thursday where we expect even areas out in eastern Oregon to stay shy of 90 degrees. We're going to start to heat things up as we go into the weekend. I'm just going to play through this. I'm going to stop at Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, I'm projecting 92. But notice right here, here's the enclosed 594 high, not only west, but starting to shift northward up into California and Nevada. Here is this red thickness contour, the dashed line. Again, I've talked about this before. The thickness contours are density indices for the air mass. We know that colder air is thicker, it's more dense. Warmer air is not as dense. So that's how thickness indices can tell you what the temperature profile of the overall air mass is. So the warm air of this 570 contours all the way up around us up into BC, and we're starting to see warming. So again, this is Sunday of next week. Now I'm just going to play this all the way into Tuesday of next week. This is probably a little confusing, but here we are. Tuesday of next week. 594 high over California, Nevada. 594 high is second one offshore with hot weather ridging all the way up through the Gulf of Alaska. Here's the 570 contour well up to our north. And if you look at this Canadian high right here, remember the flow pattern goes around these clockwise, the highs? So clockwise brings us an east wind. So now we've got high pressure ridging. We've got an east surface wind, which totally shuts off any moderating cooling off the Pacific waters. And we've got the stage set to be really warm, so to be hot, in fact. That's what we're talking about. Here's something more common to what I typically show you. And this is the fairly newly developed European AI model. So what does that mean? Well, we're just taking modeling to the next step with artificial intelligence, which is basically mankind knowledge going in from past events, and with the computer power kind of revved up on high to hopefully give us some more accurate outputs in the future. But we'll see. This is Thursday, this afternoon, and you can see again right here, classic summer pattern, upper level high out off the Atlantic, a broad high out over Southern California, one offshore. Okay, so the stage is set for us to see some warming in the coming days. Here's the weekend warming. See how the high pressure ridging is starting to set up. This is getting into Monday of next week, and I'm going to stop this Tuesday of next week. We're thinking Tuesday and Wednesday will be the hottest weather. So, again, this isn't overly impressive to look at, but you've definitely got ridging that's offshore pushing northward. This is Tuesday of next week. And then what this does show is that Wednesday of next week, see how the ridge is out more over the Pacific waters, and now we're kind of flattening the flow pattern. And if this is correct, Wednesday would not be as hot as Tuesday of next week. The models have been back and forth on whether we have hot weather Tuesday and hotter Wednesday, or hot weather Tuesday and not as hot Wednesday. Most of the modeling that have come out this morning are back on this train of somewhat cooler weather on Wednesday of next week, but the flow pattern has not been consistent. So at any rate, everything does show this. We go into Thursday, and this is Friday of next week. We've got upper level troughing, and we're much cooler. So whether we have one really hot day Tuesday or two really hot days Tuesday and Wednesday seems the big question, with Thursday and Friday showing some cooling here in the West. Here's what the air mass looks like. This is the same artificial intelligence from the European. And this is this afternoon. Now, this does a good job. The 850 millibar, 5,000 foot air mass temperature map is showing in blue that we're feeding off of somewhat cooler, comfortable weather today. Again, no 90s in Oregon on this Thursday, and Portland only expected to be about 80 or slightly cooler. But then we start to heat up nearing 90 on Friday. See the orange, yellow colors? That's the warmer air mass for the weekend. And by the time we get to Sunday, now into the deeper colors down here in Oregon, and we've got temperatures easily reaching 90, still staying around 90 on Monday. And then let's see what this shows. Here's Tuesday of next week. Cool Canadian highs dropping down across the Dakotas and Montana. That would set the stage for ridging over our area. Hot weather spiking up through Vancouver Island up into BC. And let's see, does that hold on? See, Wednesday it kind of holds on, but this shows the hottest air already starting to fade. And then by Thursday of next week, clearly we're cooler. Okay. That's kind of what the Canadian model was showing. Here's what temperatures are showing. So this is Thursday of today, showing that we're pretty comfortable, right? Temperatures are upper 70s to about 80 degrees. But we're going to fast forward this into next Monday. Let's see what they show. Now we've got 90s down into Salem, upper 80s to 90 in Portland. Generally, I think these models aren't hot enough, but we'll see. Does show we're back up to 99, 101 out in the Columbia Basin. And then Tuesday of next week, that could be the hottest of the bunch. Doesn't show that hot, right? Right? It shows mid 90s, Portland, Salem, about 90 up in Kelso Longview, 86 up in Seattle. Shows 90s in the Columbia Basin. So is this correct, or are the models not hot enough? As forecasters, we're trained to look at the upper level heights, the flow pattern. We're trained to look at the 850, 5,000 foot air mass temperature maps. Both would indicate with an east flow, apparently, especially hotter than this. But you get the idea. This is not a slam dunk. And here's Wednesday of next week, low to mid 90s around Portland, even cooling down through Salem. And then I want to show you Thursday, which is absolutely cooler. Look at that, 77, 80. So again, what's the highest confidence of this potential hot weather forecast? The highest confidence is no matter how hot we get or don't get, the hottest day looks to be Tuesday, maybe Wednesday of next week. And then we're definitely breaking the heat and cooling down on Thursday. That's what the highest confidence of all this shows right now. Okay, so back to what's going on this Thursday. Again, coming to you from the KGW Weather Office here in downtown Portland. Here's a visible satellite picture at 9:42 in the morning. And you can see we're cloudy more than not. We have the dense fog advisory at the beach. That's expected to break the fog around 11 o'clock this morning. And then we are expecting these clouds to thin and see increasing sun later today. You can see the classic low clouds banking against the Cascades. There's the Dalles, a little bend in the Columbia River, and all clear out east. So let's go around the horn and see what the actual fed from the National Weather Service and NOAA, the auto plot temperature forecast for the 7 days, and see what they're going. 93 down in Medford today. I said not 90 in Oregon up in our immediate area, but 93 down in Medford. And then look at next week, 102, 103 on Sunday, 103, 106 Tuesday, 106 Wednesday. Certainly biting on the hot weather down in Southern Oregon. What about Bend? 86 today. Here's the warming into the weekend, 94 Saturday, 98 Sunday. But then not going at least any hotter, going 96 Tuesday, 97 on Wednesday. What about Pendleton, known as a hot spot? 88 today. That's what I was talking about. In our immediate area that I forecast for, Pendleton staying shy of 90 today, but 91 tomorrow as we heat up, 99 Sunday, and then upper 90s to 100 on Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Okay. What about up in Seattle? 71 today, decreasing clouds, beautiful weather the next couple of days. Sunny, 81 Friday, 81 Saturday, 87, or excuse me, 84 on Sunday. And then there's the heat spike next Tuesday into Wednesday, believing that Wednesday will be the hotter day, 92, and then cooling down on that following Thursday. Our capital city here in Oregon, Salem, 82 today. There's the hotter weather into the weekend, 90 Saturday, 94 Sunday. And there's the heat spike, 98 Tuesday, but not as hot Wednesday. And then a big cool down on Thursday. So all of this kind of going with the trend that I was talking about. Coastal temperatures generally in the 60s. Let's check out Astoria. Because remember, I said there was an east flow. There's the east wind flow up in Astoria. 77, maybe 80 Tuesday of next week. 74, maybe 80s Wednesday of next week, and then cooling down on that Thursday. So my 7-day forecast, here we go. 79 this afternoon, increasing sun, and then nearing 90 on Friday, Saturday, maybe reaching it. Certainly feeling like we hit 90 or better on Sunday. Monday's going to be right there. And then the two hottest days, upper 90s Tuesday, Wednesday. If we get the flat flow pattern, I feel like whatever we hit Tuesday, we're probably not going to be warmer than that Wednesday. So right now I've got 98, 98, and then we could be as cool as about 87 on that following Thursday. All right. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. That is your update. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It helps me out, and you'll be notified when I post, and I will talk to you soon.